hockey friends and families around the world, and welcome back to another episode of the Wraparound Roundtable. It's our holiday special where we give out big prizes and introduce you to some of the big influential people in the game all at once. Before we get going, a reminder that anytime you can head over to hockeywraparound.com and look for the Roundtable button to enter in for this week's prize pack, which is a green biscuit and a puck round. I'm showing it on the screen for those of you listening at home. And also every week you can enter again, which gets you into our grand prize, which has just some incredible stuff that every hockey player and family will want. There's some teams things in there. You're going to be a hero if you win this thing. So it's definitely worth a look. Again, check that out, hockeywraparound.com. But let's get into today's guest joining us for the giveaway so we can share with everyone who it is. It's Kazxi. He first got hooked on hockey by watching the Lightning's back-to-back cup runs, which was a minute ago now. We're talking 5 years ago when that started. And then he picked up his first stick just before turning 24. And what started as streaming video games, hockey video games, has turned into a full-out journey into the sport. We're excited to have him here today because he is doing some incredible work in that space. Kazxi, welcome to the Wraparound Roundtable.
How's it going, y'all? Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you, man. Well, look, let's start with the consummate first question, right? You really dove into this sport head first over the last 5 years. Your content is now being viewed by millions of people. All right. In fact, I will tell you this. I've been in this business for almost 15 years now. I have not seen someone rise the ranks like you have. And I think it's a mix of your professionalism, your honesty. You definitely have the voice for it, if you know what I'm trying to say. You've got a very unique style with that. And I'm going to say it too. Yeah, no problem. And your post-production, your crafting of these videos is a lot of talent. And I actually think people have lost that a bit, and you are bringing it back. So let's talk about how you got into the decision moment of, you know what, I'm going to make this something special. This is just not a hobby anymore. When did that happen, and how did you go about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So content and hockey both kind of went hand in hand for me. So like you mentioned, watching the Stanley Cup run, living in Tampa, seeing Tampa win it, that was really like the first time that hockey was ever on my radar. I grew up loving sports, playing, soccer, baseball, football, but hockey was just like not really on my radar at all. So yeah, I got into watching it with that. And I was playing a lot of hockey video games at the same time. And then at the end of 2022, that's when I actually downloaded TikTok for the first time and started to make content. And it was all video game related content at the time of this tiny little hockey video game that like no one really played but me.
Well, what was that called? Can we talk about it?
It's called Slapshot. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
So that's that was, so I was playing that game, and that's what I downloaded TikTok for the first time. And I just started making videos that I found fun to make and kind of committed myself to like a 30-day challenge. And it went pretty poorly. I had like no views after 30 days. But I kept with it, and I think it was around like day 45 that one just went crazy. And then 3 days later, another one goes crazy. And then boom, another one. And, they just start compounding, and all those older videos catch traction and whatnot. So that's really what got me into the content creation game. But at that point, I really was learning everything as I go or as I went. I didn't know how to edit. Yeah, for sure. I didn't know how to edit. I'd never edited videos really before. So I kind of was just learning it on the fly. And then a few months after doing that, the developers of that game actually reached out to me and ended up hiring me full time. That's awesome. So I left my job to do full-time content, having no idea what I was doing 3 months after making my first ever video.
That's pretty exciting. I'll tell you too, with this podcast, right? And we've been doing this podcast for about 5 years. And I remember the first year getting 20 listens a week, and we were ecstatic that 20 people were listening.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And now it's in the thousands weekly. You know what I mean? So apropos, the hockey stick chart of how things grow, I mean, it happens. But the key is, and we hear this from everybody we're talking to on the show, man, is the passion and the sticking with it, and the understanding that you're not necessarily doing it for the views, right? You're doing it for what you love. And there's a great quote I always love sharing, which is, hockey is not something you do, it's something you are, right? And I just think you really embody that in the work that you're doing. You feel it, right?
Absolutely.
That's unique, man. So let me ask you this question too. Kazxi is the name. We're not going to unveil your real name, obviously. Can you tell us and tell the audience about where that came from? I think I probably should spell it out for the listeners just to make sure that if you're listening, you can find them on there. But it's why don't you tell the people about the name and again, and why it's spelled the way it is and everything, because it's unique.
Right. So I don't think I've ever actually told this story before, but it is kind of a funny one that the kids will appreciate. So Kazxi started in 2017, I believe, and it started because of Fortnite, believe it or not. So me and my best friend were loving Fortnite, playing it a ton, and we're like, yo, let's become Twitch streamers. I'm a kid at the time.
Right.
And so we download Twitch. We're playing Fortnite every single day, live streaming, and we needed names. And like every Twitch streamer, of course, has a cool name. You got Sketch, you got all these names, right? And they're just completely random. So me and my buddy one night, he was sleeping over at my house. We stayed up way too late playing Fortnite all night and sat there and locked in. We're like, what are the most random like names that, one, no one else has, and two, is just unique? So Kazxi, spelled Kazxi, was not taken on Twitch. And so that's initially where it came from, is like every variation of Kazxi was taken. But if I added an X, which was just kind of a gamer thing to do, then it wasn't taken. And on top of that, a little hidden meaning in there too. XI is actually Roman numeral 11, which is the number I wear.
Oh,
and it's also KAZ 11, so like Kazxi with two eyes kind of thing. So like a little bit of hidden meaning in there. But yeah, back in 2017 when I wanted to stream Fortnite, that's the name I came up with.
I love that. Well, listen, I've had a few victory royales with my son. That's a pretty exciting moment, and I love that game innovating. But I love that story. And what's really cool about it, I'll tell you, this I guess it's a compliment. It's a cool thing to think about. When we first saw you coming up, I remember thinking, how do we spell this again? There's an X in it, but you're so prominent now. I know how to spell it without thinking. You know what I mean?
That's
like
awesome.
We just know where you're at. And it's a cool. I think about the NHL players who come up. Like I remember when Matvei Michkov came up, and it sounds like it's easy to spell,
right?
But now we all know how to spell it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of names like that when it comes to it. Another question I love asking people on the show in your position is that we as watchers don't get to see the back end, the communications you get, the DMs you get. And I have found, even through my own work, that we get some pretty amazing messages from people about what they love, to keep doing what you're doing. I mean, especially with my mental fitness work and my motivational work, I will always get, hey man, keep this stuff up. This is really good. It keeps you going. So I'm not necessarily saying, do you have anything specific, but can you talk about like those messages you get, what it makes you feel like, how important they are? And maybe if you have a cool one, that's always good too.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that's something that kind of caught me off guard because they came in pretty early in my content creation career, and just some of the messages you get, like you said, are just crazy. I've had obviously it's lots of kids, but I've also had lots of grown adults reach out to me. And there's one story that I thought was always just kind of neat and just like caught me so off guard, is actually in person. I bumped into this guy who was maybe 50, 60 years old. I bumped into him at the rink.
Yeah.
And he came up to me and was like, hey man, like I watch all your videos, and actually like I'm out here trying to also get back into the sport. I played when I was a kid, haven't played in forever. And like, you've inspired me to play, but also to quit smoking, which was like so random, but also like he was quitting smoking to try and be more physically fit, to be able to play hockey. And it was like, you're telling me I inspired you to do that. Like that was definitely a cool one, but I think it's always neat. I think the most common one I get is people that are picking up the sport for the first time and that are like so excited to share with me how excited they are to play the sport, and how watching my stuff has shown them like, hey, like anybody can do this.
Yeah. I also think, man, it takes a lot of guts to start out in the sport in the way that you have and really share that journey. And knowing you're going to get pushback. I mean, look, we get pushback when we did play the sport, so it's not new, but one of the things that you're doing that I love, and again, I won't say where you're from unless you want to, but you're visiting every outdoor rink in the area that you're from. You're getting on the ice for the first time. Like, do you brainstorm these ideas? Do you let them kind of sit for a minute? I love the one of like, we're going to go to every outdoor rink. Yeah. And keeping in mind where you're at, it's not possible year round most of the time. So tell the viewers about that, and maybe kind of, your creative plan, right? How ideas are formed and how they come to be.
For sure. So I'm actually working on the part 2 right now. It's like a month in the making. This one's like a full-blown TV episode. I'm at
Yeah. Yeah.
35 minutes right now.
Wow.
There's 10 different locations in it, a couple of with multiple different rinks. So that video is going to be coming. Hopefully by the time that you guys are watching this, that is out on my
That's
YouTube
awesome.
channel. But I think it kind of varies. You know, I started with the short form stuff, and for the first year of creating content, that's really all I did. And it started as just the gaming stuff, then shifted into the IRL stuff. And for me, it's always come pretty naturally, as far as like what to create. You know, a lot of it is product based, or just trying new stuff, or also just sharing experiences. A lot of times for my short form stuff, you know, I just toss the GoPro on my head and stuff just happens. You know, cool interactions happen, or I do something and then I'll break it down afterwards about how I was or what I was thinking in the moment, kind of thing. So that's always come very naturally. The YouTube stuff is more something that I've picked up more recently.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a lot more exciting and fun, and a lot more planning that's involved in the longer form content, just because it's so much longer and so much more effort that's actually going into those. So that one definitely takes a lot more planning and prep, but the short form stuff, I think it really was just a lot of trial and error, and I've kind of figured out a few different formats that work really well. And so it's just kind of a rinse and repeat for me at this point with short form.
Yeah, and man, they're so drastically different. And it's funny because when again, I'm getting a little older here, but I was trained in long form video. Like that's what we learned to do. And I remember there was a time when the short form really started taking off that we were annoyed by that, because I think the initial thought was, well, this takes no talent, and that's not true.
Right? No, definitely
Right? That's not true at all.
Yeah,
It is true that anybody can pick up a camera and make something,
for sure.
and it is true that any video can go viral. But these are the low percentage things, right?
Right.
To do it consistently,
Right.
and
That's
to
the
craft
thing.
things, yeah, like that takes some talent.
For sure.
And I think with you, man, your ability to storytell, and I'm actually going to talk to the kids listening to this a little bit, because the number one thing we hear from kids is, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, we hear NHL player, which I love. The kids have that dream. I'll never tell you not to pursue that dream. But right with it is, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a content creator. And it's one of the reasons we're highlighting, you, because kids, you have to understand, Kazxi is an immense storyteller. He tells stories extremely well. That's a big part of this. It's also why you need to read. Also, why you need to write. But the other thing too, and Kaz, this is where my question comes in. Everyone we've interviewed on this show has said and talked about the obsession with what they're doing because they love it, and not obsession with how many views did my video get. It is a metric that everyone obviously looks at amongst other things, but it's not why you do it. Can you talk to the kids specifically, the kids who want to follow in your footsteps, about the drive, the passion, the obsession, and the joy, right, that it takes to do what you're doing?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think I definitely have always had that creative drive and passion for just creating and storytelling and that sort of thing. And again, it started in not hockey related content. And then as I found, a love for a brand new sport, my two passions kind of merged together with content creation and hockey itself. But yeah, I mean, I think you're definitely right. Like, a big thing is obviously making content early on in your career. You're not really going to see a whole lot of success right away. Like, it's just not how it happens. Occasionally you might get lucky and there might be that one that blows, whatever. But for the most part, for the average creator who is, of good size, they didn't blow up overnight. Right. And I think a big thing with that is the perseverance and the consistency to keep going, even though the last 10 videos you've dropped only got 50 views.
Right.
So, I think for me, the biggest thing was looking at, very similar to learning the sport of hockey, is instead of looking at just the straight up numbers, like, okay, 50 views, like, that sucks. Right. But more so, okay, well, the last post got 40 views. Same with learning hockey. Well, I couldn't hit a shot from this distance a week ago, and now I can. Or I couldn't transition, backwards a week ago, and now I can. So, like, sure, you might still suck, but at least you're getting better. And so it's all, to me, about the progression.
Well, and I also talk about, I'm heavily involved in coaching, and I love coaching youth hockey recently. I've never had a kid say, how many people watched me make that move? Mm-hmm. How many people watched me get that goal, right? You're not thinking that way when you play because you love to play.
Right.
If you started thinking like that, you would not play hockey too long.
Right.
Yeah. So I love what you're saying, man, because kids, again, it's about the progression. It's about the reps. It's about putting stuff out. And look, kids, just to show you how random this is, in my space, we'll get about 2 viral videos a year. And when I say viral, I mean, millions of views and hits. And they're never the video I think that's going to do it, ever. It's the most random thing, that one of them, man, I remember I just posted on a Thursday night and it did 2.5 million. And the reason I'm saying that is, and that's great, don't get me wrong, it's a cool stat, but I did not make that video with that intent. I made it because it was a story or a thought I wanted to share. That's where the focus is. And getting those reps in is everything if you're serious about this, right? And I got to say this too, Kaz, right? If you're not serious about it, that's okay too. There's nothing you have to be.
It's not for everyone. Yeah.
Right. All right. 2 questions left. I have to ask this. I've been on the ice 30 plus years. So my early days are pretty forgotten outside my first goal. You're really picking up ice hockey now again. And I love it. First off, thank you for having the guts to show that. And you are progressing pretty quickly.
Definitely.
This is my question to you, some perspective that I don't have. What is your advice or what is your thing that you wish everybody knew about playing hockey early on? Because again, those of us who play it for decades, we forget like those first few years, right?
Yeah.
Your story, tell the people what you wish they knew about playing hockey.
I mean, it's no doubt the hardest sport in the world. Like, I think that's right. I think a lot of people do understand that. And if you look at a lot of ranked lists, like it is up there, but I think people who have never touched ice don't comprehend how challenging it is. Like it really is 2 games in one. Like the skating is one sport in its own,
right?
And everything else with the puck is a whole different sport. I also grew up playing. Again, I like tried everything. Soccer was my main sport. I played competitive soccer, but I played football. I played baseball. Like I went through a lot of different sports, and there's nothing like hockey. Like just even thinking about, I remember learning how to shoot was one of the hardest things. That was like, there's no mechanic in any other sport other than maybe lacrosse, which I also didn't play.
You mean grass hockey? That's what I call that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It is pretty similar, but there's nothing else that compares to just the motion of shooting a puck.
Right.
And so before you know how to do it, it just looks so awkward and it feels so awkward. And with that one, like learning how to shoot, I literally spent like a week with just as many pucks as I possibly could every single day, like 2 hours a day, just ripping shot. And like, I was able to make such quick progress because I was doing it so consistently over and over again until I figured it out. And now it feels totally natural and normal, but that's definitely a thing that like just a lot of the mechanics, I mean, even in skating too, are just so foreign to any other sport.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell anybody I train that from the waist down is chaos and from the waist up is ballet.
Yeah.
And really, when you think about splitting your body like that, and then people may be trying to hit you,
right?
It's a pretty intense. Yeah. I love that perspective, man. Because like I said, like I hadn't thought about it like that in a long time. And I'm going to commend you again. I know I said a few minutes ago, you are putting the time in, and you are getting better and better and better.
Appreciate it.
It's amazing to watch. And I think we need more content out there like that because everyone's watching human highlight reels.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we see you, like you said, I did so many hours of work and there's progression. It's so important for people to see that. Like you are not going to have an amazing shot overnight.
Right.
Or I'll take it a step further. Every kid wants to mishy and every kid wants to have this amazing toe jag release, but there's a progression to that.
For sure.
Right.
Definitely.
Like you can't do some of these things if you don't know a basic wrist shot. Right. So I love that process. I love that grind. And I think you're inspiring more people to love that grind as well.
Appreciate
I think it's really important. All right. I'm going to ask this too. I forgot to tell you this before we got on. Everybody coming on, we're throwing a multiplier prize in. So I said it again. The prize here is the green biscuit and the puck around. And you, my friend, get to choose from my list here. You can add any one of these. It's on us. Okay. You can add on a wraparound, a puck around, blade shade sunglasses, or more bag deodorizers for the stinky kids out there. Which one do you want to add on to the show today?
Sweet. Let's throw a wraparound around in there. I feel like that's the perfect combo for the green biscuit and the puck around. So let's toss that in there too.
Yeah, it's your words, not mine, which is always a good thing. So I appreciate that. So we're going to throw a wraparound on top of the green biscuit and the puck around and your grand prize entry. Remember, go to hockeywraparound.com right now. Look for the roundtable tab. You will not miss it. Okay. And you can enter in. And remember, every week when you enter is an entrant into the grand prize, which is going to have a ton of stuff. We'll have pictures on the website. Check that out. Kaz, I obviously appreciate your time. Is there anything else you want to share with the listeners, the hockey parents, players, and coaches out there? About your journey or just in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, hockey, again, is such a challenging sport, but I think it's also a sport that anyone can play. And there's also so many different formats of it. We talked about the fact that I've been getting more into ice hockey now, but I really started with my, non-hockey rollerblades with a big backstop on the back, skating in my neighborhood, with a green biscuit and now a puck around. So I think that, and then there's also ball hockey, for the people who maybe, can't skate or don't want to fully commit to that or don't have the ice, around them. But I think there's so many different forms of the game, and having played ball hockey, roller hockey, and ice hockey now, I think they're all super fun and really, no matter what level you're at or what age you're at, I think that just knowing that you can do it and it's something you can pick up and learn is just something that I want to put out there.
No, it's a great message, man, and I love it for multiple reasons too. And I'll say this to the kids listening, especially. I've had adults ask me this too. If you are in love with this game, first off, Kaz and I both get it. Okay. The second thing is there are so many ways to be involved in this game.
Definitely.
Right. Playing is probably the best. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But in terms of just enjoyment, but there's so many avenues and so many ways to play. I love that you said that, man, because it's true. The rising tide lifts all ships. Enjoy hockey however you want, and don't listen to anyone telling you how you're supposed to enjoy it. Right. That's up to you.
For sure.
Right. All right, audience, listen. We love Kaz here. You must follow this person. Okay. His name and his links are going to be in the show description. Click it. Check out his TikTok, Instagram, especially his YouTube. I love your series of check it out every rink, man. It's addictive.
Appreciate it.
Makes me want to do it.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this edition of the Wraparound Roundtable. Remember, head over to hockeywraparound.com, enter in, get yourself some pucks and a wraparound on this episode. And if you're seeing this video, it's still available. All right, everybody, have a great time. Skate hard, skate on, get better, enjoy your hockey. Take care, everybody.
Peace.